Now, the government's proposal to build a £12 billion nuclear waste site deep under the ground in Cumbria hit the rocks today when the county council voted against the idea. Although one local council was in favour, the lure of hundreds of millions of pounds of incentives for the local community just wasn't enough to convince everyone. So the big question is, does this leave a gaping hole in long-term plans to dispose of dangerous radioactive waste? Our science editor, Tom Clark, reports.
No entry for the No campaigners who listened to the proceedings outside.
Government and independent scientists have said categorically that the plans are not safe.
But after all was said and done in Cumbria's County Council chamber, they got their way. The Lake District will not host a long-term nuclear storage facility.
I'm delighted that local democracy works, and I think what's happened here is that the more people have learned about what's involved with all of this, the more they have found that it's flawed.
Down the road at Sellafield, they store hundreds of thousands of tons of nuclear waste from 60 years of atomic power. The most intensely radioactive is in storage ponds at the surface. But successive governments have failed to find a long-term underground storage site. This time, communities were asked to volunteer to host it. Cumbria, home to the nuclear industry, was the great hope.
There is support out there that some communities realise there's a huge benefit, economic benefit for their area. So we already store a huge amount of nuclear waste from the last 6 decades. We store it very safely, but we wanted to proceed with a long-term storage process, and we're going to go on looking and working with our communities to do just that.
For the Department of Energy and Climate Change, it's a major setback. If they can't find a home for our nuclear waste, how do they attract new nuclear investment to the UK? And it's a problem for the rest of us too, because there's now no clear long-term storage solution for our nuclear waste, and that's something that costs us, the taxpayer, nearly £3 billion every year. Cumbria rejected the proposal, saying the geology and world-renowned landscape made it unsuitable. Instead, it called on government for more investment in looking after waste at the surface. But ultimately, it has to go somewhere.
We need that facility in the national interest. The waste is there. Today's decision doesn't somehow mean the waste has gone away. It still needs to find a long-term repository, and the government's got to take that forward fairly quickly.
Though the council voted no, 1 in 3 jobs in West Cumbria is linked to Sellafield. With no other community coming forward, the government will be trying to persuade Cumbria to change its mind before it tries to take our nuclear legacy elsewhere.